Hey guys, and welcome to the 90 and 90 programs with MAPS Group Coaching. This is Chris Atkinson, Group Coaching Manager. We have here two coaches, Craig Rieger and Andrea Menzel, on the line. What we're going to do today is, during the first 30 minutes of the call, they're going to talk to you about 90 buyers in 90 days, which is a fantastic program. And then the second 30 minutes is 90 listings in 90 days. So stay on the line when we pick up at 12:30 for that. If you have any questions during the call, you have a little questions box on your control panel. Type the question in. We'll be keeping an eye out for those throughout the call, and the coaches will answer them as they come up. So, Craig and Andrea, it's all yours. Thank you guys so much for doing this for us.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Chris. Good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on what part of the country you're in. Can you get to the next slide, Chris? Awesome. Awesome. So guys, we're really excited about the two upcoming programs of 90 buyers in 90 days and 90 listings in 90 days. I've got Andrea Menzel, my counterpart, who has been my lead sales agent on my personal team for the last 6 years. She actually runs our sales division, and she has personally sold thousands of homes. And we are really excited to present this program to you. So we're going to start out with one of our favorite techniques for acquiring more buyers, and we actually can acquire more sellers this way as well. And it's door knocking with offers. And for my personal behavior throughout the years, I've had a hard time going out and acquiring business or doing open houses and knocking on doors and going around on the Sunday before my open or the Saturday, the day before my open, and knock, knock, hey, it's Craig Rieger, and I'm with Keller Williams Realty, and I'm holding your neighbor's house open this Saturday, and I'd really love if you guys could stop by, get to know you, see the property. For me, I haven't been too motivated to do that, and therefore I didn't do it very much. I know it's successful for the agents who do, but I had to find a way to really increase my ability to really get in front of people and get their attention through door knocking. And through our incredible MAPS coach, it was actually Monica Reynolds, our MAPS mastery coach, when my wife was coaching with Monica several years ago. And Monica said, hey, we've got this great program we're using down here in San Diego where we actually use offers as bait and as an excuse to knock on doors. And she said, I want you guys to consider implementing this. So we jumped on it immediately. So to break down what this looks like is specifically when you're working with a buyer, and as much as we'd like to have every one of our buyer offers accepted, occasionally there's a multiple offer situation, and our buyer's offer is just going to lose. Maybe it's a really strong offer that our buyers put forth, and we lose to a cash offer. Or maybe there's just a ton of offers, and we finish number 2 or 3 out of the 10. In other instances, for whatever reason, the seller might not be reasonable. It's not even a multiple offer situation, and they just won't take our buyer's offer. So what we're stuck with is with a buyer who's feeling a little bit dejected, a little bit troubled with the fact they've gone through all this work, found the property, took the time to write an offer on the house that they want to move their family into, and of course they've lost, and they're typically not in a good place. Yet what we found through our MAPS Mastery Coach is we actually have an opportunity to turn lemons into lemonade. And so what we'll do is we'll take our buyer's offer and we'll black out all private information. So I've been all over the country teaching through MAPS coaching, and I've seen offers in nearly every state. And what we'll typically see on the first couple pages is we'll see the agent's name. So we'll have Craig Rieger at Keller Williams, and then we'll have the other agent's name. So it's Susie Q at XYZ Realty. And then, of course, every offer has the buyer and seller's name. And so we'll have Bob and Susie buyer and Jim and Samantha seller. And then to have an offer, you have to have an address and you have to have a price. And what I've found is that those key components are typically on the first or second page of nearly every offer contract in the country. And what we do when we door knock with offers is we'll actually black out the other agent's name. So in this case, if we've represented the buyer, it's going to continue to say Craig Rieger at Keller Williams, and we're going to take a Sharpie and we're going to black out the listing agent's name, and we're going to black out the listing agent's company. And then we're going to find our buyer's names, and we've got Jim and Susie buyer. Well, we're going to leave Jim and Susie, and we're going to black out their last name. And then we've got the seller's names, and we have Tim and Samantha seller. We're going to leave Tim and Samantha, and we're going to black out their last name. So at the end of it, what's remaining on our offer is it says Craig Rieger, Keller Williams Realty, 123 Main Street, your city, USA, Jim and Susie seller, Bob and Sam buyer, and it has the price of $325,000, and it was dated yesterday. And we're going to make 50 to 100 copies of that offer, or at least those couple pertinent pages, and we're going to go door knocking in that neighborhood with 50 to 100 copies. Now we're going to be armed with an additional pen and some tape in our pocket, and I'll explain why we do that in a couple minutes. And we go up and we knock on the door, just a typical door knock here, and it's not uncommon that the dog's barking and somebody's peeking around the window to see who's at their door, and eventually somebody kind of cracks it open and says, "Can I help you?" And we say, "Hi, I'm Craig Rieger. I'm with Keller Williams Realty. I don't know if you're aware that your neighbor's house down the street just sold this weekend. I happen to know it sold because my buyers put an extremely strong offer in on it, and they didn't procure the property. I don't know why they lost. Maybe it was cash or something that beat them out. Again, my buyers are in extremely strong financial position. And I got to tell you, they're just devastated. They really want to live on your street." And at this point, I actually hold up a copy of the offer and I put it in front of them. I've brought a copy of the offer that they made on your neighbor's house in case you'd like to see it. And while I'm sure, I just want to ask you, have you thought about selling your property? And I got to tell you, at the point that you're telling them you've got a buyer who's devastated because they want to live on this street, and then you hold up an offer that's in black and white, signed, dated a couple of days ago, that's showing the address, the first names, and the price, the body language of the person standing across from you completely changes. And what happens is they become extremely receptive. It's not uncommon if there's a spouse in the household that the person you're talking to will say, "Honey, come here, you've got to see this." Because understand, whether they have any desire to sell their house or not, this is, in most families in the U.S., this is their largest investment. This may be potentially their retirement plan. This may be potentially what they're going to be using for education, for college for their children. And so whether or not they have a desire to sell immediately, the fact that you're standing there showing them something that no one has ever shown them before, a live written offer from a couple days ago from a house down the street, they're going to take a look at it. And what's really cool, and Andrea, I'd love your thoughts on this as well, is that even if they want to sell, understand that you're being invited in, or at the very least you're setting a listing appointment or talking to them about what's going on, or if they're potentially thinking about buying a property, they're seeing how hard it is that you work on behalf of your buyers, because they know, even though they're not in the industry, that agents don't work this hard. Like, they're inviting you in for a buyer consult, a listing appointment. Now, even if they don't have a desire to personally buy or sell property themselves, what they're doing is they're pointing you around the corner. And because you're so valid holding up this offer, that they actually become your cheerleader. And they'll say, hey, Craig, thank you. This is amazing. Have you gone over to the Frankel's house yet? It's like, no, I don't think I've been to that one. Which house are they? Well, they're 2 doors down on the right. You may want to talk to them. They just announced last week that they have a new baby coming, and one of the things they shared is that they're going to be looking for a bigger home. You should go down and talk to them. Or, hey, Craig, have you talked to the Johnsons yet? And it's like, no, which house are they? Well, they're 4 doors down on the left, and we have the Johnsons over for dinner at a barbecue this weekend, and they shared that they're looking to take a job transfer. And of course, if they do, they're going to need a referral for an agent to where they're going, and of course need to sell their house. So this is an incredible opportunity to be really valid and to get in front of people, and as I shared earlier, to turn lemons into lemonade, and to use a negative situation, because no buyers like losing when they make an offer, no agents like losing when they make an offer, and to turn it into a positive, to go out into that community and to share what happened, and with the validity of making copies of that offer, you're going to pick up more buyers. You're also going to likely pick up listings. And when you pick up listings, as Gary Keller teaches us in the MREA, and as the great MAPS coaches teach us, listings create more buyers. So this class that we're going to be launching, 90 Buyers in 90 Days, is 100% focused on how to do 1 buyer consult a day for the next 90 days. And in some of those situations, it might be helping you actually get some listings, because if you get some listings, bees attract to them like honey. Now, I shared earlier that we're going to be bringing some tape with us and another pen. And of course, if we're knocking on 50 to 100 doors, because we brought 50 to 100 copies of this offer, not everybody's home. And so for the folks that aren't home or don't answer their door, we actually take out a piece of tape, and we just tape a copy of the offer at the door, and we say, hi, I'm Craig with Keller Williams. This is an offer we wrote on your neighbor's house a couple days ago. Our buyer's lost in a multiple offer situation. They want to live on your street, and if you've thought about selling, give me a call. And so we'll actually leave a handwritten note with a copy of the offer on every single door we knock on if they're not home. So it's a really cool technique, and this is just one of dozens of strategies we're going to show you through the 90 Buyers in 90 Days program that's launching this Monday. Andrea, do you have anything to add to the door knocking with offers before we move on to the buyer consult?
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much covered it. That was great. I just love the door knocking with offers because it gives you the validity. It's very different than just door knocking a neighborhood or door knocking to invite to your open house or any of those sort of things. It gives you the validity that you not only work the neighborhood, you have buyers that are looking to live in the neighborhood, and that's what every seller or potential seller wants to hear, or even just somebody interested in what's going on in their neighborhood. Even if they have no desire to sell or they don't know anybody who wants to sell, just knocking on their door and giving them that valuable information, that's something that anybody that's a homeowner is going to want to hear, and they're going to want to know what's going on in their neighborhood. So we find it's a very friendly conversation, a very welcome conversation. It's not something that we're getting, turned away from the door too often at all from. So it's an easy way to meet people, to add to your database, and to very easily collect leads for both buyers and sellers.
Andrea, I was thinking while you were talking, thank you, that's amazing, is that I was thinking about an email that I received from Gary Keller about 6 to 8 weeks ago, and the purpose of the email that Gary sent to a group of his agents was, hey guys, here's how to prepare for the shift. Make no mistake, it's coming, and if it hasn't hit your neighborhood or your market yet, it will. And he gave us a good 8 to 12 strategies on how to prepare for a shift, and one of the strategies is absolutely right now, make sure you show people how hard you're working. And he actually said in the email, he goes, odds are you're already working extremely hard, and what I want you to do is show people how hard you're working. And as I think about this door knocking with offer strategy and one of the tactics we use to help procure more buyers and or more listings throughout this program, it's really a great example of that. It's not uncommon, and I've personally done this technique, thousands of times where we go out, where I personally have gone out and door knocked with offers, and one of the things I'll often hear is, you guys do this? I was like, yes, sir, we do it every day. And by the way, our market's Portland, Oregon, where it's only sunny for 3 months a year, and it's raining the other 9 months, it seems like. So we're out there, rain, snow, or shine, door knocking with offers, and the consumer that's behind the other side of the door, after they see why we're there and what we're doing and holding up a copy of a real signed offer, of course, with all confidential information blacked out, they say, this is what you guys do for your clients? I've never seen a real estate agent do this. You guys are awesome. Can I get your card? My sister wants to buy a home. Can I get your card when we're ready at some point in the next couple of years when Johnny goes off to college? We're going to sell and need to buy another property. We want to stay in touch with you. So this is just a great way to show people how hard you're working, and it's an immediate way to pick up business. It's physically impossible to use this strategy and to not get clients. Now, of course, with this strategy, you actually have to have at least one buyer that writes an offer that loses on the property. The odds are, at some point in the next 90 days, all of you are going to have that situation. It's just part of our business. Use it as a positive, make some copies, and go out and knock on some doors. All right, Andrew, why don't we switch gears, and let's talk about getting buyers in for the consult. Getting buyers in for the consult. And Andrew, I'm going to let you run this one, and it's because I think that you are at a mastery level, and I mean that. I have 21 years in the business. I'm the team owner, and what I've seen you accomplish as far as getting buyers, I mean, literally I've seen buyers drive 2 hours across town during rush hour traffic to come into our office to meet you with a buyer consult. And why don't we start with, before we give the tactics of how do we get a buyer to come across town and come to our market center and sit down with you, and ultimately, before leaving, sign a buyer broker contract. Before we go there, what is the mindset of the consult? Why don't you just go and show them the home when they call on the sign, or when you're at an open house and they say, yeah, we want to see properties, why don't you just schedule the time to go and show them properties the next day? Why don't you meet them at Starbucks? Why do you make them sometimes come 2 hours and sit down with you?
Yeah, I think that's a really great question. And, through the years of meeting buyers, and of course I have ran out and shown homes at, based off of a sign call or based off of, somebody wanting to just see a house and not willing to come in. And I can't recall one time that it worked out favorably. I mean, it's just one of those things where if you get them into the consult, you have probably a 95% chance of selling them a home at some point, whereas if you just run out and show them the house, I mean, there's maybe a 2% chance that they're going to buy with you. And I mean, myself, my team, probably most of you, really don't have the time or energy to just run around and meet buyers wherever they want to be met at, and never actually secure them as business. So it's a little bit out of just sort of that frustration of our time and balance, and a lot out of showing them what the benefit is of getting them into the office and how that's actually going to help them, save them time, help them achieve their goal of purchasing a home, and why it's important that you do sit down and meet with them, and how that's a benefit to them as the buyer, and not necessarily that it's your company's policy or that sort of a tactic. So I think what we've sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I was going to say I totally agree, and I think the mindset behind it as well is that for me personally, because we've all done it, we all get that sign call, we don't have a lot going on that day, and it's like, sure, I'll show you the house at 3 o'clock today, and we scoot over, and we're the ones fighting rush hour, and we open the door, and we meet them. Hi, I'm Craig, here's the house. And of course, while they're touring the home, what we're trying to do is have a loosey-goosey buyer consult. We're trying to share with them, here's the value of working with Craig Rieger Group, and they have no desire to hear about why Craig Rieger is a great agent. What they want to know is, how big is the master bedroom? When was the kitchen updated? Is the yard big enough for my kids to play ball? Like, whatever it is they're there for, that's what they're looking at. They didn't come over saying, oh my gosh, I'm so excited tonight, honey. We've got a meeting at 5 o'clock to see a house. And the best part of it is these agents are going to try and convince us to work with them. Like, that's not what they say when they're driving over there. What they say is, hey, we're super excited to see this house. This might be the next place that we raise our family, or the next place we downsize to, whatever it is they're doing at whatever stage of life they're in. So my experience is they don't want to talk to us about the console, and I don't blame them. So when we can get them, and because of that, to your point, Andrea, we have a really low chance of procuring them as clients. Now, if we get them in the office, as you shared, we're up to a 95% close ratio. When we get them in, and not all folks are ready, able, or willing to buy a house in the next 30 days, not every single person that you get into the office is a true A buyer, yet what they are is we now have a relationship. We likely will get a buyer-broker contract signed, and whether they buy in 2 weeks or 2 months, or in some cases 18 months, is we've built that relationship, and now we're at a 95% chance that when they do purchase a home, it's going to say Craig Rieger Group, Keller Williams Realty. And the final thing before you go into your scripts, and I think you had another point you wanted to share, is we really recommend, and these are little things, and as Gary Keller says, it's simple, not easy, is the Starbucks meeting is a complete disaster. Like, from my personal experience and the top agents that I get to network and learn with, is we all agree, like, hey, I live on this side of town, you're also on this side of town, can we meet in the middle at a Starbucks? Complete disaster. Small tables, loud environment, interruptions, lots going on, just a really unfocused meeting. And would I say it's substantially better to have that meeting at Starbucks than actually in the living room or kitchen of a house you're showing? Yes. It is definitely much better, yet it's not that 95% close ratio, right? Last time I checked, my doctor, my lawyer, my accountant, and the professionals that I work with, they've never asked Ambry and I, hey, do you want to meet us at Starbucks and talk about your financial planning? Nope, I'm going to their office, and that's where we're sitting down and we're having that business meeting. So it's a simple point, but until we've gone through it a few times and realized it didn't work, I just want to emphasize the key of getting them to your market center, into a conference room, and having a real business meeting. Andrea, what would you add to that, or what were you going to say when I jumped in?
Yeah, I mean, the Starbucks meeting thing just is really, it's just, to me, it's unprofessional. It just doesn't set the light that you're a professional in what you do. And any real buyer, if a buyer wants to buy a house, their goal is to buy a house, they're going to want to come in and meet with you. They're going to want to do it your way. They're going to want to do it the professional way and actually have a chance at finding the house of their dreams, securing it, you helping them through the process. This isn't something that's a negative to them. They want to come in and sit down and meet with you. You just need to show them what the benefit is to that. And I think so often we're scared. I think so often we're scared that, well, if I don't just run out and meet them, then, they're just going to call someone else, or they're not going to buy this house from me or whatever. It's like, you can't run a business like that. That's not professional. You have to stick to your standards, sit down, show them what your value is, and then what you're really going to create is a client for life and someone who understands what a good agent you are, how you're going to be able to help them, and how you can help them achieve their goals. And I think that that's going to go way further than just, running out and showing them the house at 3 o'clock. So it's both the mindset of the agent.
Scared. Absolutely. Absolutely. Use the word scared. And another place I would use the word scared is they're scared because they haven't mastered the scripts and objection handling to get them in. Because, of course, every buyer's excited. We're still focused on sign calls. Every buyer's excited. They just want to see the house. They don't want to drive to your office and spend time with you. And the reason that agents are scared or insecure or not confident or whatever word we want to choose is because they haven't mastered the scripts and objection handlers to confidently get a buyer to feel really good about, from that sign call, instead of going over and looking at the property, to feel excited about driving to the office and sitting down with you. So a big part of our program, and this is just, again, one of dozens of techniques we're going to show you how to sell more, how to represent more buyers than you ever have before, is getting them in. So, Andrew, why don't we dive into one or two of the quick scripts or objection handlers you use. Guys, as part of our program, when you sign up for 90 Buyers in 90 Days, these are all going to be typed out. We're going to get you copies of them. We're going to have live role play throughout the 8-week program. And for right now, Andrew, why don't we've been talking about sign calls. Can you and I just do a quick role play on sign calls?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Give me a call.
So I'm going to be Craig Buyer. Ring, ring.
All right. This is Andrea. How may I help you?
Well, hi, Andrea. Hey, I just drove by your property at 123 Main Street, Portland, Oregon, and my wife and I are super excited to see that home. Can you meet us there at 7 o'clock tonight?
Hey, that's awesome. 123 Main Street. Let me pull that up here. I've been getting quite a few calls on it. Hey, let me ask you, what is it that you liked about that property? What attracted you to it?
Oh, well, we live in the neighborhood, and it's a bigger home, and it's in the same school district, and we've been kind of looking on and off for a bigger property for our family, and again, it's a great school district, so it just looks really good. Are you free at 7 o'clock tonight? Because that's what works best for us right after football practice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes, love the neighborhood. I totally agree. Great school district, and nice that you guys are already there. That's fantastic. The good news is that my office is not too far from there. I'd love to meet with you guys. If tonight at 7 works, I can make that work as well. We can just come in, sit down at my office. We'll go through a couple of things. I actually have some other properties that may be of interest to you as well. So let's talk about what you're looking for, what your goals are, what's really important to you about this property and what you're looking to move into. And then I'd be happy to show you this house and probably a couple others that might fit your needs as well. So it looks like you're available at 7 o'clock tonight. Should I text you over my office address and we can meet then?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's just we're busy. The kids are going to be exhausted after football. I've got a long day at work. Can we just see the property and then you can just share with us at the house anything else you want to go over?
Yeah, Craig, I totally understand, and I can appreciate that. And really my goal is to save you guys time and help you achieve your goals both quicker and easier and with less stress, especially as you have kids and obviously a very busy schedule. And really the point of sitting down and meeting will be for us to go over what really is important to you. I live and work in this market day in and day out, and I think I can probably pick out for you some houses that really will meet your needs. This may absolutely be one of them, but I wouldn't want to exclude any other houses that might work for you, and show you guys to them at a time that's convenient to you, and then that way you can pick and choose what works for you. But I would feel bad, not getting you that information and not being able to show you everything that's available that might fit your needs and something that might actually fit your needs a little bit better and save you some time and stress with your kids. So do you think that would be okay if we just met tonight at 7 and then, if you want to swing over and see that house afterwards, we can do that. or we can put together a tour for the following night after football practice as well, if that works for you.
Good job. Sounds good. I'll be there at 7. Well, what I like is, and first off, great job for using one of the bold scripts, is so many people are calling on this property, let me look that up for you, is that you were relentless in your pursuit that, right, I think I took you through at least 4 objections, and you stuck with your mission. And what I've seen you do sitting next to you for the last 7 years on my team is people say yes. Like literally like 9 out of 10 say yes. And then when you ultimately get them in, 9 out of 10 sign a buyer broker contract with you. And it's just so much more effective than actually just going out to the property and showing the home. And I love that you kept bringing it back to the motivation, and you kept asking questions up front of, hey, what's important to you? How long have you been looking in this neighborhood? Why are you excited to see this property? And then you also brought it back to some of the personal things that I very quickly shared as far as football and busy schedule. And you brought it back to a positive. I can see you have a busy schedule with your life and your family and your kids and football. I'm doing this to save you time. So you created it being a positive benefit for us. And I know that there's a dozen other scripts that we have typed out we'll be showing throughout this program of different ways, whether it's an open house, that we meet a buyer, or a referral, or a sign call, or an internet lead, or whatever it might be. We've got scripts. We have scripts and objection handlers for every one of them. Great job, Andrea. So I know we just have a couple minutes left before we dive into 90 listings in 90 days. Is there any questions, Q&A that anyone has that you want to type in before we move over to the next program? All right, well, we've got the question board up on the webinar, so if anybody has any, feel free to dive in. And for more information, Chris, did you want to talk about how people can sign up for this program?
Yes.
Awesome. So to sign up for the, oh, hi there.
Hey, so for signing up, you can go ahead and register now at kwrievents.kw.com, and that's /NBND.3. And that'll get you straight to the sign up. If you have any additional questions, you can always email us at fasttrack@kw.com. And fasttrack is FASTTRACK@kw.com, and we'll be more than happy to ensure you're taken care of.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
This class starts this Monday at 12:30 Central Time, and it'll go for 8 weeks. And like Craig mentioned, we're going to be going over a lot of scripts, a lot of real role-play practice, and just what our team's done to really kind of get to the next level and create a balanced lifestyle where we can work with the buyers that we choose to work with, have an abundance of business, and still achieve a balanced life. So that'll all be in the next 8-week 1-hour phone calls. That'll start this Monday at 12:30 Central Time.
Yeah, Andrew, I'll never forget when it was quite a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and again, of course, we're coaching with MAPS Mastery coaches, and one of our phenomenal coaches challenged our team and said, guys, what would it look like for you to do a buyer consult a day, every single day for the rest of your career? And before we go there, what would it look like for just in 30 days, let's assume you're going to work 25 days of them, what would it look like to do 25 buyer consults in the month of October? And I remember looking at you and Anne-Marie and the rest of the team, and I'm like, holy moly, because right then, I don't even know if we're tracking buyer consults, but we're probably averaging about 1 a week. And the thought of actually having a buyer consult a day was completely terrifying. And when we started breaking it down into bite-sized chunks and said, hey, what would it look like if we had door knocking and called our sphere more and changed our mindset and did these different activities, and we're much more tenacious with not just Andrea, yet myself and the entire team being more purposeful about not just showing properties, but getting buyers in for consults off of sign calls and web hits and open houses. And lo and behold, we're able to, in a very short period of time, hit that standard. And that's what this class is about. The class, when we say 90 buyers in 90 days, it really is about accomplishing 90 buyer consults in 90 days. Now, if you're an individual agent or you just started in real estate yesterday, you may not want to do 90 buyer consults in 90 days. That's fantastic. We're going to help you pare it down, and you might choose to do 20 buyer consults in 90 days or 15 or 45. And if you're a mega team and you're going to be part of this program and you've got 11 buyers agents, you might be shooting for 150 buyer consults in 90 days. Whether you are brand new or the most experienced agent in real estate, what we are going to be delivering on is proven systems and models and tools that will help you have more consults than you've ever had before. So this isn't about 90 closings or 90 signed contracts for written offers. This is about getting 90 buyer broker agreements signed in 90 days, because we know that when you successfully get more buyer broker contracts signed than you ever have before using proven systems and models, in the weeks and months to come, you're going to serve more families in your community, help them into new home ownership, which ultimately is going to boost your business. So we're really excited and can't wait to have everybody sign up for Monday, October 10th, starting at 12:30 p.m. Central Time. All right, should we fire off to the next slide and dive into the listing side of our program?
Sounds good.
Excellent, excellent. All right, it looks like we had a question that popped up. How can we get a potential buyer that shows up on your open house into a consultation when all they want to do is look at the other homes after your open house? You know, I think that's a great question. Thank you, Patricia. I think that the script that Andrea went through is extremely similar. It's hey, I've got some other meetings tonight, and I really want to help save you time and benefit and sit down with you and get you into the office and really do in-depth needs analysis so I can identify what's out there. And in fact, Patricia, if you're going to stay on for this next part of the phone call, we're going to talk about a way that we help find properties or are able to find properties not on the market. And that's something that we talk about with our buyers at open houses, especially for many of you are still in markets with low inventory. And we'll share one of the benefits of working with our team is that we are experts. We're at a mastery level of finding properties not for sale that are in neighborhoods that you've identified. And that's a reason to sit down with us in the office, because we only offer that service to folks who are willing to come in and spend 20 minutes with us and share with us what they're looking for, and we'll share what we provide. And if it's a marriage, we go to work. And if not, it's 20 minutes of your life. So very similar to what Andrea shared with a couple other twists to it, and we'll certainly be covering that in great detail on the 90 Buyers in 90 Days program. Okay, so our next program, this is a separate program through MAPS Group Coaching, is your path to 90 listings in 90 days. And I will be the coach of this program. Andrea will be my co-coach as well. And why don't we go to the next slide and we'll start talking about it. All right, so we want to give you just a couple of the dozens of different things that we do in this program to help your business go up, your listing business go up to an extremely high level. And like all great programs that I've learned through the Keller Williams system is everything starts with mindset. So understand on the first phone call, we're going to be taking you through the mindset of wherever you're at on a business standpoint now to going to the next level. It was interesting. I had an opportunity to spend last weekend with Lance Loken, who's tracking to sell some 2,000 homes this year. And we're recalling over the weekend when we first met 4 years ago, and I was giving a presentation, and after the presentation he came up to me and said, Craig, I'm going to list 100 houses this month. And I was like, I don't sure. Wow, that's awesome. Good job. Go and get it, buddy. And then Lance emailed me a couple months later. He goes, Craig, I did it. I listed 100 houses this month. I'm like, holy moly, that's amazing. And that mindset that we have sometimes holds us back is, well, that can't be done, or my market won't allow it, or I don't know, or I don't want to. And then I meet people like Lance or even what my team did with 90 listings in 90 days, and anything can be accomplished if we have the right mindset and the right tools behind it. So we're going to be taking you through a journey of helping you explode through that E to P, that feeling of achievement. And we get in the right mindset, we're then going to back it up with the tool systems and accountability to help your listing business explode in this fourth quarter of 2016. And one of the things that we're going to have to do to accomplish more listings is probably talk to more people than we've ever talked to before. And one of our favorite strategies, Andrea, is circle prospecting. So what is circle prospecting? It's really simple. You get a target. That target can be a house you just sold. That target can be a buyer who's looking in a particular neighborhood and that you're currently representing and they can't find what they want. That target could be a neighborhood that you've always wanted to do business in, but you've never broke into. It doesn't matter where I've taught or where I vacation or where I go, there's always one neighborhood or one community that is just amazing. Like upmarket, downmarket, doesn't matter. Like it is the end-all, be-all where people want to live. And it might be because it has the best schools, or it might be because it has the best taxes, or it might be because it's really convenient to a major employer like Intel or Nike or whatever you might have. But there's always a neighborhood that's really desirable. And when there's a really desirable neighborhood, whether you're in a hot market or in a downward moving market, it's a neighborhood that you're going to want to take listings in. So that's another example of circle prospecting. We would literally just make a mark on the board and say, this is that neighborhood. We would draw a circle around it. And now our job is to contact every single homeowner within that circle and ask them if they want to sell their property. So that is circle prospecting at its simplest form. So, Andrew, we're going to add something?
Yeah, I'm wondering, so if this is a market or a neighborhood that you've never worked in before, you don't really have that validity to go in and say, you know, I just sold a house, or I have a buyer looking, or whatever. What does that script look like? How do you spin that?
So a market that I personally haven't taken listings in, yet a market that I want to break into, so I have no validity, no experience there, no signs up, nobody probably knows who I am. How do I break into it? That's the question, right?
That's the question.
I love that question. So let me ask you this back, Andrea. If it's a market that I want to break into, odds are our house is moving pretty quick.
Yeah, that's why I want to break into it.
Exactly. And if it's a market that I want to break into, odds are, is there an abundance of buyers and shortage of sellers?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If it's a market I want to break into, odds are, does that neighborhood have lower days on the market than virtually every other neighborhood within the city?
Probably.
Probably, yeah, because if you want to break into it, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't want to break into a neighborhood and dominate a neighborhood that nobody's buying homes in and houses take forever to sell. So if we're breaking into a neighborhood, I'm assuming it is the hottest neighborhood with the lowest inventory, highest buyer demand, lowest days on market, advantageous sales price. Like, if we're going to take the time to go through the energy and work, and by the way, it is work, that's necessary to break into a new neighborhood, I'm going to assume it better be a pretty darn good neighborhood, right?
Yep.
Okay, so now what I have to just quickly do, this will take less than 1 hour, is I got to take some time and pull some stats. So I've got to get on my local MLS, and I've got to research this neighborhood, and I've got to look and see how many houses for sale and how many have sold in the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, 180 days. Right, I just have to quickly look and see how many houses have sold. Then I want to look how long did it take them to sell. And then I want to look and see what was the list to sales price ratio. Were they selling at full price? Were they selling just below full price? Did some of them appear to get multiple offers and sell for 5, 10, and 20,000 above full price? Or if you're in Northern California, 200,000 above full price? Like, it's going to take some work. I'm going to take a good hour, maybe 2 hours. And at the end of that, from a paper standpoint, I'm going to know that neighborhood in and out. I'm going to know how many homes have sold, how many homes expired, probably very few because the neighborhood's red hot. I'm going to know what they were listed for, what they sold for, and how many days it took them to sell. And odds are, if it's as good of a neighborhood as I thought it was, regardless of if I'm in a hot market or a slow market, those numbers are going to look substantially better than the typical numbers of the rest of the neighborhoods in my MLS. And now I'm simply going to find the phone numbers. I can do that through various technology that we'll be presenting throughout the 90 listings and 90-day program. And I can also sometimes go to my local title companies. Sometimes they can provide a list for free of phone numbers. There's enough resources out there in the world today that if somebody wants and puts some time into it, we can find phone numbers. Would you agree with that, Andrea?
I would agree.
All right, in our program, we're going to show you exactly how to find phone numbers for any neighborhood in the United States and parts of Canada. And I'm going to simply call them, and here's what I'm going to say. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hi, is this Andrea?
Sure is.
Hey, Andrea, this is Craig Rieger. I'm a real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty, and I just have a couple quick seconds I want of your time. Andrea, the reason I'm calling you today is you may or may not be aware of this. Your neighborhood, Southwest Bonnie Slope, is the hottest neighborhood in all of Portland, Oregon. In fact, I have researched this neighborhood, and I got to tell you that your neighborhood has lower inventory, higher buyer demand, more likelihood of multiple offers than any single neighborhood that I've seen in the Portland MLS. Like, there is a window of opportunity closing because the market has been so good for so long, and your neighborhood has completely thrived through it. And before that window closes, I wanted to give you a call and see if you want to sell your property. Have you thought about selling in this hot market before that window closes on you?
Wow, I have not, but now that I've heard that, that's pretty interesting.
Andrew, I got to tell you, like, I could call any single neighborhood. Like, nobody loves calling, nobody loves getting phone calls. The reason I'm calling you is I'm not kidding. Like, there is no neighborhood that has higher buyer demand, more likelihood of sellers getting multiple offers. Like, if you guys have thought about downsizing, getting a bigger home, relocating, this is an incredible time. In fact, in my professional opinion, as a licensed real estate agent, living and working in your general community, this is the best time in history to sell that property for top dollar. Would you like to schedule a time at 1 o'clock today or 3 o'clock tomorrow for me to sit down and tell you more about it?
You know, that's great. I don't think that we're quite ready for that, but I definitely appreciate the information.
Absolutely. And Andrew, what we could do is I could keep taking you through objection handlings. Yet I want to go out of script for a second. I want to emphasize the point that I've probably circled a neighborhood that has 1,000 homes in it. I've probably circled a neighborhood that's 500 homes in it. Depending on where your business is at, and by that I mean what part of the country, there are certain communities and neighborhoods and cities that have mass neighborhoods of, like, built by 1 or 2 builders back, whether it was 10 years ago or 3 years ago or 20 years ago, 4,000 homes. Circle prospecting is a numbers game. So that's fantastic. My first call, you already showed me a little bit of interest, and I would have been relentless on my objection handling to try and schedule that appointment. We'll show you how we do that throughout our 90 listings in 90 listings in 90 days course. But I also want to emphasize the point, this is a numbers game. And I'm going to keep calling and calling and calling all 1,000 homeowners in West Bonnie Slope until somebody says, you know what, Craig, come on over. Come on over. And when they say it, I'm actually not going to stop. I'm going to keep calling until I set 2 or 3. If I call and use that script and say the reason I'm calling you is you have the lowest inventory, the highest buyer demand, and the most likelihood of multiple offers, and if you've thought about selling, now is the time before that window of opportunity closes. If I call 1,000 people I don't know in one of the hottest neighborhoods in my city, Andrea, will I set 2 or 3 listing appointments?
Absolutely.
Will every single person on this phone call set 2 or 3 listing appointments?
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
So
I mean, it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game.
Absolutely. And when I get 3 listing appointments, these aren't warm listings. This isn't like your best friend referred you to their best friend and now you're showing up to list it. So if I set 3, odds are, 1 or 2 of them I'll sign contracts with. And that's great. Because here's what's going to happen, Andrew. If I get a listing contract signed and I get a Keller Williams, Craig Rieger sign up in a neighborhood, you think it's going to sell if this neighborhood is as hot as my research showed?
It better.
It's gonna, right? So here's what I do next. Ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, is this Andrea?
It sure is.
Andrea, we might have spoken a couple weeks ago. I'm not sure. I was calling around letting folks in your neighborhood, West Bonnie Slope, know that you have the hottest neighborhood with the lowest inventory, the highest buyer demand, and most likelihood of multiple offers. And I got to tell you, a couple of your neighbors ended up hiring me. And in fact, I just sold your neighbor's house at 123 Main Street, probably just a few doors down from you last night. Andrew, the reason I'm calling is I actually ended up receiving multiple offers on that property. Of course, my seller accepted their favorite offer, but I got to tell you, I personally presented the offers. I received them all, and all of the offers were really strong. Beyond that, in just the 4 days it was on the market, I had a total of 11 showings. So here's what I've got for you, Andrea. I've got 2 buyers who have written offers literally on your street in your neighborhood. They're devastated that they lost out on the home. And I have 9 other buyers that immediately looked at this property that didn't offer on it, maybe because the floor plan wasn't perfect or the yard isn't what they're looking for, but they also want to live in your neighborhood. So when I called a few weeks ago and shared with you, you have the hottest neighborhood, now's the window of opportunity to sell, I now have buyers with written offers I'd love to show your property to if you're thinking about selling. Have you thought about selling before this window of opportunity closes?
Well, you have a lot of scripts on this, so I appreciate the call, and I wouldn't mind you coming over.
Right? Now, again, if you say no, that's okay. because if this neighborhood had 1,000 people, and 3 weeks ago, 3 of them allowed me to come over, I now have remaining 997 people to call back and say, hi, it's Craig again. Remember when I called? I just sold your neighbor's house. So now we're going to move over to the just sold script. So that's the script I would use if I had no experience or brand in that neighborhood. Why don't we do a quick second scenario, Andrea, of how about I just did sell a house. This is right. This is my brother's best friend whose house I listed, and I got it on the market and I just sold it. And darn it, I want more listings in that neighborhood. Can I go through that script with you?
For sure.
Now, Andrea, before I do, I want to go to the mindset of it because the mindset is important. Agents on this phone call, or Andrea, you're the one that's not on mute. Throughout your career, have you ever, well, you represent a lot of buyers as well. Let's play that one. Have you ever gone over on the day of closing and taken the keys out of the lockbox and handed them to your buyer, and as you're giving them a big hug and a closing gift and thanking them for this amazing experience, have you looked across the street and seen a new real estate sign up? Has that ever happened to you?
Maybe.
Yeah, right, because listings are like bunnies. They actually multiply. Like, make no mistake, when a seller puts a sign up in a neighborhood, there's certain families within that neighborhood saying, oh my gosh, did you see the Joneses are selling their house? Why are they getting a bigger house? I want a bigger house. And they're sitting and watching. And then here's what happens a few weeks or a month later. It's like, oh my gosh, I was just at Bunko with the Joneses. Did you hear they sold for full price? Honey, we really should get a bigger house. Interest rates are low. We need to get our house sold. Right? Like, these are real conversations that happen up and down the streets of any given neighborhood when one sign goes up. Or it might be, hey, the Joneses put their house on the market. Why are they downsizing and getting away from that 3,500 square feet and all of this yard care, and we're still doing it, and our kids are off to college and we have grandkids? Like, this is a joke. We need to get a smaller home and enjoy this period of our life, right? Like, whatever it is, homeowners have these conversations. They track what's happening with that house. And lo and behold, by the time it closes and you're handing keys off to your buyer and hugging them, as you drive in the neighborhood, there's 2 or 3 new for sale signs. Is that true, Andrea?
Yep, it is.
And we know, and Gary Keller showed us these slides at Family Reunion, and I don't have them in front of me, but I'm going to be pretty darn accurate, but maybe not 100% accurate, is 89% of all home buyers that NAR surveyed said they had a great experience with their agent, they'd use them again. 89%. Like, as an industry, I think we're doing really well, like, considering the complexities of buying a house and home inspectors and appraisers and lenders and so many things that can happen to make a real estate transaction stressful. For 89% say I'd use that agent again, I think that's actually an A+. We're knocking it out of the park as an industry. Andrew, do you know what percentage of home buyers who are buying their next home actually use the same agent that used the first time?
12%.
Yeah, I think it's 11 or 12. So how did we go from 89% to 12%? Well, of course, we don't have a database. We don't have a 33-touch campaign, and we're not staying in touch with them. Now, why is this important, and why did I go off chart here? Because I'm talking about circle prospecting, and I'm talking about databases and percentages. Here's the reason: is understand when a home goes on the market. In the next 90 days, 2 or 3 other sellers, probably on the same street, are going to put their house on the market. Odds are they have not had communication with the agent that sold them the house 5 years ago at all, because NAR stats prove it. 90% said, I love my agent, I use them again. 11 to 12% do. So understand, folks, as real estate agents, if we're willing and able to do circle prospecting, and we're going to give you the scripts, how to call them and what to say and when to do it, we're going to give you all of that. Odds are it'll be our sign that goes up in front of their house, because their last agent who sold them the house 5 years ago, we know through NAR stats, has not done a great job of staying in communication with them. So let's move in the script. Ring, ring.
Hello?
Andrea, this is Craig Rieger with Keller Williams Realty. Did you see that big sold sticker down the street from you on Main Street?
I did. I drove by it this morning.
You know, yeah, that's awesome. We're so excited. We just sold the Joneses home, and what we found, Andrea, is that when one house sells in a neighborhood, 3 more sellers will put their house on the market in the next 90 days. You know what, Andrew? We ended up having a total of 17 showings on that property in the 3 weeks it was on the market. We ended up getting the Joneses a full price offer. And here's what I know, because I've talked to every one of the buyers or agents that showed the property. So those other 16 folks that came through, they really want to live in their neighborhood. So Andrew, the reason I'm calling is to let you know, if you've ever thought about selling, I have 16 buyers right now. These are real buyers. You can call the Joneses and ask them how many showings they got. I have 16 buyers right now that I could bring through your property. So let me ask you, have you thought about selling your home in this hot market?
Well, we were just talking about it when we saw your sign.
Awesome. I'll see you today at 5 o'clock. And again, if you said no, that's okay, because there's 200 other folks that live in this neighborhood. I'm going to call them and I'm going to use the same script. If I use that same script, and is it not true? Ring, ring, hello. Hey, Andrew, it's Craig Rieger with Keller Williams Realty. I just sold your neighbor's house at 123 Main Street. Statistics show when one house sells, 3 more sellers will list in the next 90 days in your neighborhood. Is that not true? Of course it's true. Right? We see that all the time. We see that. Like, I even saw it before I was doing this as a listing agent, and I drive over at closing to pick up my sign and my lockbox. As I'm picking up my sign and my lockbox, there's my darn competitor sign across the street. I'm like, darn it. So now, because I'm proactively circle prospecting around my just solds, it's the very high percentage of the time, it ends up being my sign going up across the street. Isn't that great?
Awesome. It's awesome.
All right, let's move into one other quick strategy, and then we'll go into any Q&A, and we'll wrap this up. When I started coaching with the infamous, incredible Maps Mastery coach Tony DeCello just about 6.5 years ago, I will never forget, Andrea, the very first coaching call I had with him. And with Tony, the first call ends up being the theme of many more calls to come, because consistency wins. And that very first call, what he said is, he said, Craig, here's our strategy moving ahead, because like, I've got big goals, I want to have a big business. He goes, Craig, get a listing, sell it, tell the world. He said, Craig, get a listing, sell it, tell the world. Get a listing, sell it, tell the world. And in theory, that seems pretty simple. Yet, as professionals, we don't always do a great job of knocking that out of the park. So, Andrew, one other strategy I want to give to the great viewers on today's call that have chosen, and thank you for being part of our webinar, is I want to give one of the strategies that Tony and I use of get a listing, sell it, tell the world. And what I want is all the folks in this call, your licensed agents from around the country, and I want us to kind of forget. I know I've got some agents on this call that are mega like superstar agents, and we've got other folks that's literally like their first day and they got invited to this webinar, so we've got a wider range of people. I want us to all go back to the day where we think as consumers and not as real estate agents, because what I think happens as real estate agents is we sometimes outthink ourselves trying to be clever, and we forget how consumers actually think. So let me bring you through a scenario of that. So you get a listing at your 123 Main Street, your neighborhood, USA, and you sell that property. And I want us to think of how a consumer would look at that. So a typical consumer is driving to work. So we'll just go back to our neighborhoods, Andrea, in Portland, Oregon. And the typical consumer in our neighborhood is probably driving to Intel or Nike on any given Monday or Tuesday morning. So it's 8 a.m., they get up and they're shooting off to work, they got the kiddies at school, and they're heading to Nike, and they drive by a new listing. Here's what I think consumers say. Oh my gosh, Joneses are selling their house. Man, I hope there's an open. I've always wanted to go inside that house. I wonder what they're asking. There's no flyer. I'm going to pull it up on Zillow when I get to work today. Right? That is what a typical consumer probably thinks driving through a neighborhood. I really believe that. And now here's what typically happens. 2 months later, same consumer is driving to Nike, and they're driving down the street, and there's a giant moving truck in the driveway. Sign just got taken down. Here's what I think the consumer thinks. Oh, darn it, I never made it by the open house. I didn't even know they sold. I wonder what it sold for. Oh, that's too bad. I wonder who moved in. Hopefully they have kids, right? Like, that's how consumers think. Mm-hmm. And that's a house that went for sale. There was no marketing, right? Because what did Tony DeCello say? Get a listing, sell it, tell the world. That agent didn't tell the world. Let's go to scenario number 2. Same consumer drives to the same office. On the way, hey, Jones is selling our house. Awesome. I'll pull it up on Zillow, see what they're asking. Hope they have an open house. And about 3 to 4 weeks later, they see this thing on top of the sign or at the bottom, or a sticker goes up and it says pending or gone or something clever like that. Do we see real estate agents put up pending and gone stickers, Andrea?
Yep, sometimes.
Yep. So here's what the consumer thinks, right? Because mind you, he saw or she saw the for sale sign. Now 3, 4, 5 weeks later, you see a pending or gone sign. Huh. I think they sold it. I wonder if they're still going to do an open this weekend. What does gone or pending mean? Huh. Interesting. I'm going to pull it up on Zillow, see what's going on. Right? That's what a consumer thinks. Now let's go to the third strategy. Same consumer, driving to Nike or Intel, wherever they're going, houses for sale, hope they have an open house, wonder what they're asking. And 3 or 4 days later, they're making that same commute. Maybe it's Sunday now, they're heading to church. And as they drive by, there's a massive sold sign. In fact, the for sale sign is gone. The agent has actually put up a new sign that says Craig Rieger Group. It's got my logo. And 3/4 of the sign say sold. Has my website at the bottom, and of course it has a KW logo on it to support our local real estate laws. But literally like 75% of the sign in giant block letters says sold. That consumer is driving to church on Sunday, and the house he drove by 4 days ago is now the sign's been replaced and it says sold. Here's what the consumer thinks. Holy moly, what happened? Did they underprice it? Did they get a ton of offers? Like, I need to talk to Jane in the neighborhood. She knows everything that's going on. What the heck happened? I can promise you this. With that strategy, if that person driving himself to church or work or school, wherever he goes or she goes on their daily commute, if they have any desire whatsoever to sell their property, they're going to call you, right? Because what did you do? What did Tony DeCello teach us? Get a listing, sell it, tell the world. You understand that when we get a listing and we put nothing up, and why do we put nothing up? Why don't we go gone, pending, sold, Andrea? The reason we don't is because, well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one is, well, it's not sold till after inspection. Okay, got it. Well, I don't want to jinx it. Okay, got it. Well, I can't put a sold sign up till it closes. Well, okay, well, that doesn't work because typically when it closes, the sign comes down the next day. I'm going to wait till after inspection and appraisal to put up the pending rider. Like, all of that's great, but we're not taking the great MAPS coaching advice of get a listing, sell it, tell the world. There's not a whole lot of wow factor when a month after a sign goes up, this little pending rider goes on top. Like, the neighbors don't all freak out like, oh my gosh. They're just like, oh, they don't. I don't even think a typical consumer knows what gone or pending means. Right. Well, I'll promise you this. When there's a 2x4 sign in giant block neon letters or red letters, whatever you go with, that says sold, I guarantee that consumers know what that means. And even if you're in a down market, a market where it's really hard to sell properties, and maybe the average days on the market is 90 days and you sell a property in 60 days, and the day that you get the accepted offer, you cover the sign up with a giant sold sticker, or you're bold enough to actually replace the sign and put a sold sign up, you will start getting phone calls from neighbors in that community saying, hey, we've been thinking about selling our house. Do you want to come over? And Andrew, let me ask you, if you sell a house, advertise the fact you sold it in massive bold letters, and you sell it quickly, and somebody calls you saying, hey, Andrea, I want you to come over and talk about selling my home, do you think they're beating you up on your marketing plan, or do you think that you've proven it to them?
I think you've proven yourself.
Do you think they're beating you up on your commission and your value proposition, or are you coming in as a proven professional based on you got a listing, sold it, and told the world?
Yeah, you're a proven professional.
So the most common question, and somebody's probably going to type it, I love it, is well, hey, Craig, what happens if it falls apart? You know, sometimes deals do fall apart, right? Like, okay, well, that's really easy. We drive back over, and we take the sold sticker off, or we take the sold side down, and we put the for sale sign back up. Like, it's instant. Like, it's the first thing our team does, and we do that, and it's okay. And you know what? We sell it again a few days later or a few weeks later, and we put the sold sign back up. It is simple, but not easy. And it's incredibly effective. Like, I love teaching, and again, this is one of dozens of things we're going to cover with you to help you get more listings. I love going around the country and teaching this, and we'll get these texts and emails a couple weeks later like, Craig, I went out and got some sold signs, and I did it, and it worked. And I'll fire back like, thank you, I'm so proud and excited for you, and by the way, we know it works. This isn't theory. We're not a team that used to sell homes, and now we're on the touring circuit and MAPS coaching and talking about it. Like, these are are practices that our team does every single day. These are practices we do every single day to acquire business, and they're proven systems that our MAPS coaches have helped us learn, and now we're so excited to share them with each of you. So guys, think about circle prospecting and get out there and start getting a listing, selling it, and telling the world. All right, guys, so this course is going to arm you with the models and systems to organize the sales team, the scripts, the prospecting systems to get more listings and buyers. We're going to help you with the accountability, the tracking sheets, the strategies, role-playing techniques that I absolutely promise you will transform your business. Can we go to the next slide? Awesome. So it's going to start Monday, October 10th at 2 p.m. Central Time. It's an 8-week program that's 1 hour each. All the calls will be live. They will also be recorded if you're not able to be on one, and the total cost is $298. So essentially, guys, you're looking at $150 a month for 2 months for Andrea and I and MAPS Group Coaching to help blow up your listing business to a level like never before. How do they sign up, guys?
They can sign up by going to kwrievents.kw.com, and it's /NLND11, and that's just the number 11. And they can also, if they have any questions or anything like that, can always email us at fasttrack@kw.com, and that's spelled FASTTRACK@kw.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much. A couple quick questions popped up. It looks like Evan asked, will pending or sold, we don't want pending, Evan, we want sold, will prevent drive-by. So he's asking, when we put up that sold sticker the day we get an accepted offer, will prevent people from calling, will prevent buyers from calling? Evan, the answer is yes. And Evan, what I want you to focus on is the MREA and the triangle that Gary has taught us is what the most successful real estate agents use. At the bottom of the triangle it has leads, on the left-hand side it has listings, and on the third side of the triangle it has leverage. So Evan, this is a direct promise from your group's coach, is that if we can help you master how to get a ton of listings, you won't need drive-bys. You will have more buyers than you've ever had in your career, even if you're selling the listings quickly. Understand the reason Gary wants us to master being listing agents is because buyers attract to listings like bees to honey. And so we are using your listing as bait, in this case, your sold listing or your pending listing, to get more listings. And when you dominate the listing market, you dominate the buyer's market. So yes, sir, you're going to give up a few of those drive-by buyer calls, but it's going to help you get more listings, and by default, you'll get more buyers than you've ever had before. One other question, are there other areas like ours that don't allow us to put a sold sign up unless we both buyer and seller? That's from Sue. Yes, Sue, I've encountered that before around the country. Typically, that's going to be a rule of your local MLS. And if they won't let you do it, then the great news is Andrea and I have a couple other dozen strategies we're going to show you throughout this program to get more listings. What I might fire back and say is that, Sue, join your local board of your MLS, because that's a silly rule. And as a board member and contributing to the community, I would get a group together and I would change that rule. But don't worry about this strategy for right now. Join the program. We'll help you in plenty of things that your local board will let you do. All right, guys, we're going to wrap up this webinar. MAPS Group Coaching, thank you so much for your help in making this happen. Andrea and I are really excited to be your coaches starting next Monday. And have a great day, everyone. Thanks so much. Take care.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.